Wealth in any nation depends on how knowledgeable and skilled the local population actually is. Israel, Singapore, Japan are all economically very wealthy, even though they have no natural resources. They import natural resources and use their own knowledge and skill to create wealth. Now, let's move the scenario back home. In South Africa, we have the natural resources, but the indigenous masses don't have the knowledge and the skills to create value out of those natural resources. These are just some of the views held by Sandile Swana, a part-time lecturer at Wits Business School, I should say, and he joins us in studio to talk a little bit more about this. Great to have you. Thanks, Sandile, for being our guest.
Good morning. Thank you, Leanne.
This is a topic that has been under discussion for so long. We have everything here, and yet we send it away to be manufactured, and then we buy it back at a premium. I mean, what is it? Why have we not tapped into this as yet?
Thank you very much. I think that the issue is in reverse order, in as far as I can see. The greatest resource that any nation has is the human resource, first and foremost, not the minerals under the ground, or any other natural thing. So if you want development to happen, invest in the people. In other words, you can walk for centuries above the ground and not be able to mine the minerals underground. And that's only a function of your knowledge, your understanding of technology, etc., etc. It's got nothing to do with the minerals themselves. It's got something to do with you, the human being.
Yeah.
So once natural materials are available to you, whether they are plants or minerals or any other type of material, again, it is knowledge. In South Africa, it will puzzle all of us why we have not thought of creating proper value chains for all our natural resources. Whether it's the gold, the platinum, or any other, to say we can produce this thing above ground. If we can send it to Japan or Israel or anywhere else to be processed, why can't we do that ourselves?
Absolutely.
In other words, from 1994, we could have said our technicons and our schools of engineering could have started teaching our youngsters, our children, how to actually make products out of these things. But that has not yet occurred to our government until now.
Well, my next question to you, whose responsibility is it to change this current scenario? Talk about government, but is it solely government's responsibility?
It is not solely government responsibility, but in South Africa you must understand that the idea, the practice of developing human resources, all our schools are nationalized, basically virtually all of our schools are nationalized, from pre-primary schools, all sorts of schools are nationalized, universities are nationalized, technicons are nationalized, technical colleges are nationalized, they belong to the government. So if you look, for instance, just for the sake of example, the fact that last year you had more than 800,000 matriculants from the public schools and only 10,000 from the private schools. So to discuss things that go on in private schools is a waste of time. Our people are in public schools, our people are in the public universities. So the state has taken that job upon itself. Then the second issue is that by the mid-70s, we had large quantities of technicians and artisans in South Africa, which were developed by the state in conjunction with industry, municipalities, state-owned enterprises, and general business. By, let's say, 5 years ago, the number that we had, let's say, by 1975, which is about 33,000 artisans, we had actually fallen below that number. So meaning that at least in the period of independence from 1994 until now, we had actually not been focusing on developing technical skills. If you do not have clear technical skills, you cannot produce anything. If I were to give you raw materials and say, make me a steel gate, Leanne, yourself, because you don't have technical skills, it will be, I can give you 12 months, there will be no gate.
It'll never happen.
Because it will never happen. So that issue is there. And I want to also come to this other point quickly, that there is no reason for anybody to expect to be paid for a job that they cannot do or they've never done. So if I want to make money from the cellular phone industry, I need to ask myself, what is it that I can do in the cellular phone industry that can make me to be paid?
Yeah.
Right now, our people are not in a position in most of these industries to say what is it that they can contribute to make them to be able to pay. So I feel that we do not have the state at the moment, a government that is focused, and you don't have to be all over the show. You have to choose sectors, even if it's just 5 sectors, and develop strength in those sectors to excel, to expand the size of the economy by developing hardcore skills and knowledge in the people.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about you're a university lecturer, so you're in contact with, but particularly on the business side of things, you're in contact with students all of the time. What do you think needs to be done to move beyond the apartheid legacy and mentality and break the status quo to acquire that knowledge and those skills?
First of all, I think that there needs to be an openness. If you look at the past 100 years, just as an example, the creation of ESCOM, the creation of ISCOR, and SASOL, and so on, all of that knowledge and expertise came from abroad, mainly America, Germany, and so on. So in order for you to start knowing things that you don't know, sometimes there's even issues of partnering internationally. That was done in order to create companies like SASOL, ISCOR, and so on. So where you send youngsters intentionally to these places to learn how to do this thing. Secondly, out of all those learnings that have been happening, there is a lot of white South Africans currently within the borders of South Africa who have benefited from that already. Yeah. So you do need to open up the space, that space is no longer purely white. In the corporate South Africa, in the engineering departments, in the manufacturing departments. Because right now the problem we have is that there is this tendency, as the Employment Equity Report has told us, that there's this tendency to keep those spaces very exclusive. And it helps nobody to be surrounded by ignorant people who cannot produce anything, because the next thing that's going to rise out of that is going to be friction, there's going to be fights, there's going to be crime, there's going to be other problems. And I want to add to that point that we need to create new companies outside of what is existing, totally new companies. So we are not saying these people do need even to spend all of their lives in the corporate sector, in the existing companies.
All right, we have to leave it there. Such interesting thoughts coming from Sandile Swana, part-time lecturer at the Wits Business School, on how a lack of skills and knowledge hinder black people in the country from participating in wealth creation. So great insights there. Thank you very, very much for being with us here on the program. You're more than welcome to comment if you'd like to. Let's take a break. We'll have the news at 7 after this. Do stay tuned.